So last year, 2024, we did 7.1 million ringgit. And then this year, we're looking at doubling it. So 15 million ringgit.
That's something that I learned coming to Move, actually, that you can grow not by doing more, but by doing less with more excellence.
It helped us to double our revenue from 2023 to 2024 without actually growing new branches. It's just same amount of branches, went from 3 point something million to 7 million.
I think people always like to say, go to the blue ocean, go to, where nobody is. But gym business is a very red ocean. So I imagine it is a small tweak from a red ocean. And when you started the gym, right, people will say, oh, so many gyms already. What do you say to these people?
Wow, I really love this question.
Hello listeners, welcome to the Asian Century podcast. We talk to business leaders in Asia, and today we're going to talk about the fitness industry. So according to Statista, the fitness industry is estimated to grow in Malaysia to USD 400 million by 2029. So it's very interesting, and today we are at a boutique studio, which is Move Private Fitness. We have CJ here with us, who is the founder, and also with Sam, who is the head of marketing.
All right, it's great to be here, sharing with you guys the little known and also often forgotten industry. And I think Sam and I would have some interesting insight to be able to share with you guys. And I'm quite excited about it.
Yeah.
So today we will talk about two parts, right? So first of all, we'll start with CJ's entrepreneur journey, how it started, and also we'll cover some revenue numbers as well. So that'll be interesting to us. And then of course we'll move on to the positioning and marketing side of things, where we'll talk to Sam, right? So starting off with CJ. So CJ, how do you get into this? How do you start off with personal training?
So I would say I got into it for a very wrong reason. Okay, don't follow me. Don't take my path, because if you were to do that, it's not going to turn out very well. So I got into it because I basically failed everything and I hated everything in life. The only thing that intrigued me and interested me was fitness, right? So that was when I thought of, hey, you know what? Looking at a personal trainer at a local gym I went to, their job was just so easy, just hanging out there, counting reps, like talking to people. I'm like, that's the job I want, because, it's an easy life. But then of course, that would be the if I was to get into it all over again, or if I was to get into anything all over again, it has to be something that I am very sure about, what purpose and value I'm bringing into it, and then at the same time who I can impact. So yeah, that's how I got into it. And of course, thanks to my friend back in the childhood day, where I follow him everywhere because I was in New Zealand and nobody wanted to be my friend, being Asian, back in 20 years ago. It's a bit of a racism happening there, right? So my friend was a Filipino, right? So therefore he was my only friend. And that's how I got into it.
Yeah, so I spoke to a lot of entrepreneurs, right? So they all got into entrepreneurship not by choice. Like you said, you fail at everything.
Yeah.
But were you an athlete, or were you like a gym goer before you did this?
Yeah, I was a gym goer for a little bit. And that's when I started to get exposed to the gym scene and, started to see what personal trainers do from day to day. And I thought that was pretty cool. So that really compelled me a lot.
Were you right about it being an easy job though, once you started working?
It was easy, and I think it is still easy because it's not an industry that is being regulated and there's no authority or governing body. So a lot of people have gone to it until today. It's because it's very, 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 very easy. But of course, if we want to have longevity in this career, if we want to have reputation, if we want to make this industry a greater, scene, the mindset has to be like, hey, we're coming in here with professionalism, with performance and persistence. And I think that's what's been lacking for the longest time. So if any of you want to get into the fitness industry, please do not get into it just like how I did. Please get into it being prepared to be very professional, just like how you would treat an engineering career, a doctor career, right? Yeah. This is what I would advise those who want to get into the industry.
Yeah, because the barrier of entry is quite low, right? So you just need to get yourself there. But like your advice, how did you get yourself educated for this industry?
So I actually went through a diploma, and then also diploma was allowing me to work already, and then I went on to do a degree, but then I did not finish the degree. And of course, that's optional. You can do a degree, which is 3 years, diploma, usually 1 year. Usually in Malaysia, in Asia, people will go for something a lot shorter, which is like 5 weeks or a week kind of thing, where you pay like 3,000 ringgit and then you get certified. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, and before Move, right, you had a previous business as well. So what do you learn from that?
Oh, let's not go
wow.
there, but
Wow.
we will.
This got really juicy really fast. Huh?
Okay, so the business I got into it was with an ex-client of mine, right? Very common to have client wanting to support your dream, saying, "Hey, I know and I can see you have what it takes." It happens everywhere, right? Even to our coaches at Move,
Yeah.
like clients want to fund, and but thankfully right now, they channel the clients to us and we grow together. So anyway, the client of mine wanted to start a gym as well. So then we got started, but then the truth is we did not have any shareholder agreement. There was no expectation of what kind of contribution can you bring to the table. There was no KPI. We just thought we were the founders, the owners, the bosses, right? Didn't really think of having KPI on each other, which then it became,
I
sour.
feel like this happens a lot though, with a lot of people who want to get into business, not just in fitness, right? All kinds of businesses, right? Like especially with the founders, is everybody gets really excited and you have this great idea. You know what your brand wants, you know what you want your brand to look like. You have the vision and everything.
Yeah.
But a lot of times we don't take the time to sit down and work out how we want to work together. And that's why partnerships are so notorious. Everybody knows that partnerships can be very challenging. Oftentimes they can ruin relationships, ruin businesses.
Totally. I think in the fitness industry, we're all very passionate and nice people, right?
Yeah.
And when it comes to
We love what we do, right?
tough conversation that has to be had in the real beginning,
Yeah.
we're like, let's not go there, right? Whereas it's very common in the financial world where bankers, whatever, easily talk about the terms and condition, the exits, whatever.
I mean, the
right?
corporate world, everything has to be on paper. If not, there's no business, right?
Yeah.
But obviously for small businesses, that doesn't happen all the time. So,
Yeah, especially in fitness, it's all about passion, right? So that's how you started.
Yeah. Passion will blind everything for the first 6 months to 1 year.
And what happened after that?
So what happened was there was a lot of friction, and the lesson learned from that was, I felt like if someone was to put the money in, they should be made silent. And if someone was to put the time in and skill set experience, they should be made active, because then it's very clear cut. You put money in, that's it, right? Maybe you can help us with some network pulling here and there, but then that's about it. Like final decision and all that stuff, it shouldn't be coming from you, right? Whereas the person that comes in with sweat, basically should be getting the sweat equity, but then shouldn't require to put any money in. Although some investor might challenge you and say, you have no skin in the game. Sure, maybe you can put some money in, but not like something that's really going to cost you a lot. So I think that's going to be a lot more clean cut, because otherwise, I think if you are getting yourself involved and then you're also putting money in, that's when we will have some sort of comparison. Imagine 3 of us wanting to start a cafe, right?
Or a bar, or a bar.
Or a bar, right? Cafe during the day.
well, Bob will barista. He's the barista, right?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
So barista, I'm a cake maker, and you're the
I'll do all the
marketing guy.
logo and design and branding, all that kind of stuff.
Right. And then we all put in
So-
like 50K,
okay.
right? And then what happened is this, like maybe you put in 80K. I only have 30K. He put in 50K. Then comparison will start to happen. And then you start to say to me, like, CJ, when you put in 30K, what do you have to say? That's when, that's when.
So you feel that the doing and the financing should be very kept separate and
Yeah.
kept distinct from each other. That's a very interesting perspective, actually.
Otherwise, emotion, which is
So the people who put in the sweat equity get to make the decisions. Am I right?
usually that's the case. Yeah, because they have been in the domain, they are the domain expert, right? And they basically know the ins and out. But of course, any major decision like that would cost the company a lot of money or like a whole new different direction, it will be discussed, right? And I think the person that has the sweat equity should also have the maturity to always go through some discussion. Not saying that he is like the Hitler of everything, like just like my way or the highway.
I guess you're saying day to day, there has to be someone running the business,
Yep.
and that's their role, right?
Yep.
And someone else can provide the financing to invest or support the business needs, right? But it has to be very clear who's in charge of day to day.
Yep.
And then, the other shareholders or the other financiers, they will, like you said, big decisions you will always consult and
Yep.
get a consensus, right? Yeah.
So back to your question, how did it turn out? I decided to just step back. The day-to-day guy stepped back, and then the person that was not full-time and put the money in had to be in charge, and that's when everything started to turn sour.
Hey everyone, producer Elton here. We share stories from business leaders in Asia, and if this video brought you any value, hit the subscribe button down below, like and share with your friends. Thank you.
Yeah, and looking at the gym industry here in Malaysia, we have so many varieties, right? We have, of course, the 24-hour gyms.
Yep.
We have the ones with the gym memberships. We have the posh gyms. We have the cycling studios. We had the hub Move Private Fitness here today. So there's like Pilates here. There's so many things here. So what made you decide to focus on this niche, which is like private fitness?
Actually, it almost happened as an accident, right? And it was a kind of like emotional decision as well, because back then we actually did group classes back in 2020 before pandemic, right? So my partner Justin, he was pretty annoyed by the fact that the group class people were very demanding, yet they contributed to only 20% of the revenue, whereas the personal training clients, they were like the 20% but contributed to the 80% revenue. They pay way more, and then they are happy. Then we decided, you know what? Why not we just focus on these 20% that are just happy with whatever we're doing and that contribute to 80% of revenue. And if we double down on these 20%, which is personal training, then things would just make a lot more sense. We don't have so much of a, like tower go missing. People complain it's too cramped because, too many people coming in.
Capacity issues, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and also rental is very costly, especially if you want to scale to expensive cities and countries. And my partner was just like, "Let's cut it out," and I was like, "No, but we've already been developing this. We had a software hardware thing for the group class," and then he was like, "Nope, we're cutting out." I was like, "But," he was like, "Nope." I was like,
It's a scary decision for sure, because the group classes bring in numbers.
"Yes,
You know what I mean? You have people in the gym, like the gym is packed, you have a community, you have that kind of connection, that kind of vibe. Everybody knows each other, right? To get rid of that, and then what are people gonna say?
yep,
How are people gonna feel?
yep."
Yeah.
It was tough because we end up cutting out, and then people had a lot of bad things to say about us, and of course sometimes this had to be done. And then along the way we realized there was a book called Play Bigger by Al Ramadan. He said that if you are the category champion, right, you can gain market share up to 76%, whereas the remaining whatever 30 something percent is shared amongst the second place, third place, the 100th place, the 10,000th place. So it's very clear that if we want to be capturing a lot bigger market share, we have to be very focused. And the category champion in personal training had nobody for the longest time. Like if you ask anyone 3 years ago, where do you go to for personal training in KL? Everyone will have 20 different answers. But I think today, or maybe in 1 year time, people will just have Move Private Fitness as a first recommendation, and maybe whatever else that comes up on Google.
Yeah, I think it's a very interesting decision, right? So you look at your numbers, you look at the revenue and say, okay, yeah, this contributes a significant number. Why not just focus on this? And it's hard as entrepreneurs to kill our own babies, which is the group classes and group lessons, right? Were there any other indications? Like, did you look at the market? Did you do see any sort of trend when you made that decision?
I would say because at that time, group classes were really booming. And
What time was it? Sorry.
it was 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, right before pandemic,
Okay.
right? And maybe we had some instinct as well. And we just felt like, wow, all these F45 different players are coming in and new concepts are all popping up. So we just felt like, man, group classes is going to be the game that we have to fight very hard in, because it's so much in what branding, your music,
What's in
whatever.
trend at a time. I
Trend.
think group classes are very hype driven. very trend driven. I've been in the fitness industry since 2009, 2010, running all sorts of programs, all sorts of different kind of classes and one-on-one, small groups, big groups. I've seen the market go through many cycles and many changes. I know right now we're in a different phase. There's a lot of group-based activities that are in trend, but a lot of it are trend-based and hype-based, and so things will blow up and it'll be really popular. For how long they stay popular, there are a lot of factors that weigh into that, right? But definitely around that time, I think for the past decade, group classes have really exploded. The specific types obviously depends on what's popular at the time, Yeah.
And I would say it also maybe comes down to our personality, right?
Yeah.
We were at a stage of life where this very fun, thriving, and vibing community wasn't our thing anymore. And that's what you need to run group classes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes,
The
it's
founder,
energy, yeah.
you need to be that person, right? You can't just, it's hard to just hire someone to do it. You can, but it's still like the founder is almost the person has to be that guy. And then we just kind of, start to mature a lot more. And I think serving the 45 to 60-year-old, even 75-year-old was just something that really, inspired us. Yeah.
Yeah. I think if I can put it in this way, I think at that point in time, you and Justin have been in the industry for quite a while already. And you can kind of see who are the people that really need fitness and how are they best served, right? Because fitness can be accessed in many forms. A lot of fitness you actually don't have to pay for. And then there's, of course, fitness that you have to pay for, right, in the market, whether it's a service-based or class-based or facilities-based like a gym. But perhaps at that time, like you said, through certain things happening with Justin and with yourself, you kind of figured out there are people out there who maybe are not being served with the current services that are popularized. There's a lot of people that don't or won't or can't join group classes for whatever reasons, right? Then what is the solution for them? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you could only probably know this after being in the industry for a long time, though. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm one of those who joined the group classes, so I was part of the hype.
Sure.
And during
we all have, yeah.
It helps during the pandemic that in group classes were not the most feasible thing, and one-on-one private coaching did help with that transition. Am I right?
Yeah. So one-on-one private coaching definitely picked up a lot after pandemic, and people started to see value in paying for more space and more distance, more hygiene, and also, of course, more personalized approach to fitness, because at the end of the day, people don't want to be wasting time doing a bunch of workouts which are not tailor-made and also, not going to exactly help them towards where they want to go.
Yeah, and we're all different. We all have different needs. We all have different demands. We all have different goals, right? It's very challenging. Having founded programs and run programs for groups, it is extremely difficult to be able to cater to the individual needs within a group setting. It's just the nature of it, right?
Yeah. When I was part of the hype, the group classes, I was not there to work out. I was there for community. Right?
Yeah.
So today you are in 2 countries, Malaysia and Thailand, and today with 8 outlets. What's your estimated revenue per year?
So last year, 2024, we did 7.1 million ringgit. And then this year, we're looking at doubling it, so 15 million ringgit. And then we're looking at the year-on-year 200% growth, which is double every single year. That started actually in 2023 when we only made 3.6 million around there. So 2024, double that, and then this year we're doubling last year. So this is the trajectory that we're on actually.
Oh, that sounds amazing, right? So I love business stories like this. So you have 8 outlets. So it's there's now 7 million ringgit, right?
Last year, yeah.
So it's let's say last year was 7 outlets, so it was almost 1 million ringgit per outlet, right? So this is still fairly new.
Mm-hmm.
How is it possible? So an outlet per 1 million ringgit per outlet, and you have private fitness. That means you have only a select few number of clients. It's not group classes that we just talked about. How did you achieve those numbers per outlet?
So it really comes down to a few factors. And then the first one is definitely the square feet has to make sense. Usually in a studio setting, we are looking at about 1,500 square feet. And that will allow us to cater for 7 coaching sessions happening all at the same time. So our price point is definitely not going to be, somewhere in the middle market price. We're actually amongst the highest, if not probably the highest in the fitness industry in the whole Malaysia. Let's say, for example, our 3-4 other branches are actually charging 270 ringgit per hour. Yeah, so the number can be achieved a lot more sustainably if the pricing is, what we're charging. If it's going to be like, the typical 150 ringgit, 120 ringgit, it's going to be very tough. Then we have to churn volume, and that's where quality will start to compromise. Anything else?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of prioritizing the right things. I think price point definitely helps, but that's only one factor, because you have to be able to provide value that justifies the price point, right? And you also can't constantly depend on having like a constant flow of new people. Unfortunately, the fitness industry, a lot of the business models run a very churn and burn kind of model, especially the bigger brands and the bigger players. I've personally been in that business model before. We operate on a very, very different model, right? We want to build long-term relationships with the people that we service, and we want to provide them the value that they're looking for. I think that's really, really important. And we are very big on being able to develop and retain top talent who are going to help us develop and retain the best customers and the best clients, right? And build those relationships to last over the long period of time. And it's not unlike any other business. All other businesses are the same, right? If you want to serve a smaller but more premium clientele, you want to build those long-term relationships, right? Because you can't depend on having to churn and burn constantly. So I think in terms of our model and our prioritization and what we focus on is really different. And I feel that's what really sets Move apart within the industry, and it helps us succeed to a certain extent. Yeah.
Yep, thank you, Sam. So, like you said, set Move apart, right? So this is where the saying applies. The riches are in the niches. So I love the niche that you're serving, right? You said you're the most expensive in the city. So you're serving a very specific niche. You're not targeting everyone. Not everyone is for you, but when you target that specific niche, then that's where you thrive, right? So you mentioned quality just now. You said, okay, that's where, if we charge, 150, we cannot maintain the quality. Today with 8 outlets and 2 different countries, how do you maintain the standard?
All right. So in terms of recruitment, we have been very, very strict. The more we grow, the stricter we are. So it's kind of like the opposite of what people would do normally. The more they grow, then they start to drop the standards so that they can keep up with the expansion of outlets, right? And in fact, if you were to join us 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it was a lot easier back then. Today, it's so much harder. 9 out of 10 people cannot pass due to many reasons, due to the fact that they are not competent enough. And then, or some people pass all the tests, but during an interview, value is not aligned, then we won't take them. And maybe even little things like they're irresponsive, they are, not showing up on time, 1 time, 2 time, game over. Yeah, because I believe that how you do anything is how you do everything, right? And if you cannot be upholding those basic fundamental values, how can you do that for the clients that we want to serve? And, so that's the one thing that we are really, really big on recruitment. And secondly, I believe that it's a culture thing. We actually have a culture architect. So it's a partner of mine, Jason. Jason is basically someone who has shown me a different light when it comes to culture in a company. In the past, I used to think culture was like everyone happy, potluck, right? I like you, you like me, and then like we go and makan together, and then we hang out together every now and then. I think that was cool maybe 15 years ago when culture in a company back in the days was always very like serious and very dull, and when you did a bit of that, and it's like, whoa, that's culture, right? 15 years ago. But I think today, those are very common now. Today, those are expected.
Yeah.
Okay. And beyond that, how do you define culture where it actually can drive performance? because those are very cool, potluck and go makan together, but it does not always mean that it can drive performance. And I think for the longest time, companies have been forced to choose, you want culture or you want performance, choose one. And I believe you can have both. And I believe culture is like imagine a tree, culture is the root, all right? And then the performance is the fruit. So it's not two separate things that you have to choose. And if you want better performance, you better double down on culture. I think this is where a lot of companies just kind of like forgo, culture building is when we have time.
Yeah.
Right? So no, culture building is, there's no better time than now. Like, there's no best time. Like, oh, let's just get the sales in first, right? Some startup might think that way. But then, yeah, you can do that first, but then later on, you have to do all the cleanups. You have to like reshuffle your team, hire and fire people, and then that costs you a lot of time and money as well. So I think the culture of performance is something where it helped us to double our revenue, from 2023 to 2024, without actually growing new branches. Like just same amount of branches, went from 3 point something million to 7 million. All right.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
crazy.
yes. So apart from that, when it comes to quality, I think marketing has a lot to do with it, right? Whatever you say to the outside and whatever you say to the inside has to be congruent.
Yeah.
You elaborate more on that.
Yeah, this is something that I've been speaking a lot with our managers and our coaches, is to help them understand that when it comes to branding and marketing, a lot of times you see it as separate. It's like, oh, branding and marketing are going to do their thing, and then everybody else is going to do the day-to-day or, handle the product or the service. And so recently we actually had a really good workshop with the whole team to explain that and to show them what a brand experience looks like, and to actually show how every single person in the company, every single department, or what we call houses in Move, plays an extremely important role, right? We have an education house. We have a culture house. All of these different, and management house, of course, right? And marketing house. And every house actually has a huge impact in the brand experience for the customer. Education house, they're responsible to ensure that our coaches are well educated, they're prepared. There's an academic and scientific element when it comes to fitness and training. Maintaining that level of quality, right, in terms of programming, exercise science. Honestly, that's something that really stood out for me, right? And culture, how intentional we are with our culture. I think the biggest challenge with culture is that it's very easy to write some stuff down that this is our culture, but how to make it relevant in the day-to-day and have it actually impact decision-making, impact the relationships and how we run the business. I believe that's something that Move has done really well. So it's not just words. It's not just a set of beliefs that you put on the wall that nobody cares about, right? It interacts in every part of the business, right? And so I think that's really it. It's like putting together the right pieces and being able to, and all that translates into the customer experience at the end of the day. You know what I mean? The way the personal trainers, the way the coaches conduct themselves, the way we execute programs, the amount of work that goes in behind the scenes before the client even steps into the studio, right? All of these things are building blocks to support that experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very important. And one thing that caught my attention was when you said you maintain the same number of outlets, but then you doubled your revenue. What exactly happened there? Was it like word of mouth? Was it like clients were happy and people came back? What happened?
So I would say a lot of it comes down to, coaches' discipline. That's one thing. Discipline in contacting prospect as quickly as possible, because when people reach out to us, we have to be quick, right? They have made the first step, and then we should also make the first step as quickly as possible, because a lot of time it took them some courage to do that. It took them some even overcoming their own limiting belief and all that stuff to finally reach out to us. So, for us, it's like, trying to get there within 3 hours as quickly as possible. And then that way, before they go cold, we are able to engage them in a conversation and then see how we can help them. So that also helped to bring in a lot more clients. That's one thing. Secondly, it's actually, our coaches' discipline when it comes to, documentation, tracking the data. All of these things are very, very important, because then that's when you can showcase your results and progress to the clients. And then I think what's more important is by being able to renew the clients more consistently, or extending the LTV, lifetime value of clients, then referral will start to happen more and more. Right? So if you want referral, we have to really focus on renewal. And if renewal is great, referral will come. Rather than not wanting to focus on the renewal, we just kind of like, hey, clients, do you have friends and family?
Hoping to get referrals, right?
Yeah. So I think it's very eye-opening to realize that focus on renewal, referral will come.
That's very important indeed. That is so gold, because I've been to a lot of gym and they say, oh, if you refer your friend, you get a discount, or you get like a
Everybody does it.
bonus.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just focus on the experience itself, right? Focus on their renewal, and then like you said, the referrals will come.
Yeah, and then one more thing I would like to add in is because in the fitness industry, you have two camps, right? You have the typical commercial, very sales driven, and then if you don't make sales, you're gonna lose your job tomorrow, kind of thing. Even though you're, coaching a lot of clients, you still need to make sales. And then you have another camp that's like all very passion driven, hippie, right? My life is about fitness. Fitness is my life, kind of thing. Money is not important, right? If you do your passion, you never work in a day of your life. That kind of, saying.
Yeah.
So then we were like, hey, we don't want to be in this camp here because it's just very like, too salesy, too sales pressured. We're not in this industry to just make the money only. So we also want to have personal growth. We also want to have a bit of balance. So we went to, more of this end of the spectrum. I think too far. And then what we did was we pulled back a little bit to the middle. To be like, hey, look, all of this is great, but if we don't perform, we will all starve to death. You'll wake up one day thinking, oh shit, I have passion all this while, but I don't have money in the bank, right? I can build a family in Klang Valley, right? Making 5K per month.
In the end of the day, these coaches need to be, financially motivated. And also, of course, you need to also take care of the quality as well. So I see everything is very intentional. Like you said, Sam, everything that you say internally and externally is very important. So I went to your website, and this is exactly the word you used. You said just now, market leader in personal training. It is the tagline in your website. So moving on to Sam, right? So how do you position yourself as the market leader in personal training?
I feel like that really came out by being committed to just one thing, and being very, very focused. I've been in fitness businesses where we do a lot of different things, and I can personally say that it's very hard to be very good at everything if you've got your eyes focused on too many different things, right? And that's something that I learned coming to Move, actually, that you can grow not by doing more, but by doing less with more excellence. You know what I mean? As business owners, and I've been a business owner before, as business owners, it's very easy to think, okay, how do we grow? Do more, offer more services, offer more variety, right? Try and reach all sorts of different target audience. I mean, this is what we learn in business, right? But the most mind-blowing thing for me with Move is that we've been able to build an amazing brand, an amazing company, an amazing business by doing less. By being ultra focused, by being very dedicated to just one thing, which is providing private fitness or personal training. Of course, you have to pick the right thing to be focused on, right? If you just do one thing and it's not the right thing, then, and I think that's really what sets it apart. Just having that ultra focus, ultra dedication to being good at one thing. I would say that would be the main factor, I believe. Yeah.
I think people always like to say, go to the blue ocean, go to, where nobody is. But gym business is a very red ocean. It's a very red. So I imagine like it is a small tweak from a red ocean. And when you started the gym, right, CJ, people will say, oh, so many gyms already. What do they say? What do you say to these people?
Wow, I really love this question because I get that a lot from investors, right? They're like, yeah, sounds good, but so competitive, they're trying to educate me. I'm like, whoa, who knows the industry better, right? So I would say it's kind of like there are so many people selling chicken, right? You have the KFC chicken, you have Korean fried chicken next to it, they are not competing with each other, because you know, you go to KFC on a different occasion, you go to Korean fried chicken for a different occasion as well, right? And then who you tapao for is going to be different, right? And then next door you have Nando's, so they're all selling chicken. So it's kind of like that. I think we need to start looking at the fitness industry using that kind of lens, where hey, F&B, you can have everyone selling chicken coexist happily without killing each other. And I think in the fitness industry, especially in Malaysia, there are so much room to grow still. And I would say in 10 years' time, we're going to look back to today and be like, man, 2025 was so easy, right? And then if you say it's saturated now, you know, think about it. In Bangkok, Thailand, you have some franchises having hundreds of branches. You have overseas franchises going into Bangkok, right? Singapore as well, it's the same thing. Like you have all sorts of franchise brands from Australia, US, UK, whatever, went into Singapore. But Malaysia is like the forgotten child in the middle. It's like a middle child that nobody really wants to come in. So if you have thought of coming into or investing in the fitness industry in Malaysia, I think there's a huge market to grow. But of course, invest in the right company, such as us. I would say it's really in the fitness industry, right? There are so many things that have been around for a long time, such as personal training. It's proven for like the last few decades. Okay, we've just been the only player, the only company that takes what's been around, systemize it, market it, brand it well, and scale it. That's it. So when no one bothered, when no one just really thought of like, oh, this is too much work, we just decided to put some effort into it. Just see how other industries are doing, selling chicken. Well, we can systemize it, you can brand it, you can market it, then you can scale it. Why not? We use the same thing. That's been around.
If I can add something to this, to also answer that part of your question, like how did we end up becoming the market leader? Another thing that I did learn coming to Move is that sometimes what you're going to revolutionize into your business may not be 100% on your product or service offering. That's always the first instinct as well. Let's innovate the product. Let's innovate the service. Offer people something totally new, something totally fresh. And I love that. I'm all for that. I've always done things in that way. But what I think we're realizing is that sometimes you can revolutionize other parts of the business. Like we are super dedicated to our clientele and giving them the best possible experience, the best possible programming, the best coaching experience. But at the same time, what we're doing for those of us in the industry, for coaches, providing them pathways to grow, I think that has been one of the most powerful things that we've done with Move. And we spend a lot of time and a lot of resources doing that as well. Whether it's equipping them with the right education, providing them with the right systems and support, mentorship, leadership, right? And creating a really powerful environment where coaches can thrive. Not just come in for the first month, so excited, I joined a new studio, everybody's happy. And then after that, just doing the same thing over and over again with no room to grow, no room to improve. In the service industry, and it's something I've been talking about with a lot of people, whether not just personal training, all kinds of service, like in-person service, it's really easy to get into, like we talked about just now. It's really easy to kind of hit your cap as well. Like if you're good, if you're professional, if you deliver a good experience, talking beauty, whether it's beauty or fashion or fitness. But then where do you go from there? You get stuck. And you get stuck doing the same thing that you're really good at for a very long time. But there's no way to grow beyond that. And so I think that's what has really made Move special, is that we provide people a pathway to grow, opportunities to grow. But it's still on them, right? You still have to build yourself up. You still have to learn the skills that maybe you need to take you to the next level. You still have to take risks, try new things. And we encourage that so hard, right? Sometimes I feel like we encourage it so hard that some of our people get overwhelmed, and we can't even keep up with it. But we're constantly like, we want them to grow. We want them to keep growing, keep progressing in their career. And I think that's probably one of the most powerful, one of the most powerful things that has really helped to accelerate Move, is that kind of,
Yeah, I love that. It's not reinventing the wheel, right? It's doing the same things that a lot of people have been doing for decades, but much better. Of course, with culture, we're focusing on recruitment, with the staff, and also focusing on the quality as well. So next thing I would like to ask you, you doubled your revenue year to year. Of course, very important thing is marketing, right? Acquisition for new customers. And of course, I've been to your website. As a marketer, I look at certain things. The SEO, quite okay, got standard. And then got remarketing, right? But what has
Ooh.
been the most effective marketing channel for you so far?
All right.
Should I tell him everything?
Tell him everything.
So no filters.
No filters.
All right, cool. Okay. In terms of marketing channels, our main ones are paid ads on Meta and Google, and we also do a lot. We also do quite well through organic leads that come in through Instagram, Facebook. That's the data that we can track pretty easily, and over the past few months, I've worked very closely with our teams to improve our data tracking as well, our performance tracking when it comes to our marketing data. That's really important for me, I think. But all of that would not be effective unless we are really good with brand experience. We are really good with brand experience and retention. Because, okay, so the way I look at marketing is that every business is going to pay for leads or pay for clients and customers, right? You either pay through time. Let's say you do a lot of activation events, you use events to drive leads. A lot of businesses do that. Or you pay for ads. Ads can be digital, it can be traditional. Maybe you pay for traditional media, ad campaigns, stuff like that. So no matter what, you're going to pay for your customers. So there is a cost assigned to every single lead or every single customer that your business acquires, right? It could be a time cost, it could be a direct monetary cost. The only way for the business to be able to sustain and grow and excel is if these customers that you're paying for are having an amazing experience. Because if they trust you with their money for your product or service, and the product or service doesn't live up to the experience, that's actually going to hurt your brand a lot in the long run, right? Because they're going to develop a negative relationship to your brand. And then every single time they see your ad, it's going to remind them of a negative experience, right? And so the more you invest in marketing, the better you have to be at what you do, at your product or service. Because it can go both ways. Yeah. If they're not getting the brand experience that they expect or that you're promising them or the value that they get out of it, over time, it's like you can have a positive balance and you can also have a negative balance, right? And so that's something that we try to be very careful with. Yeah.
That's great. I was head of growth at startups as well. So it's a dream to do marketing for a product that actually is good. You don't always get that luxury, right?
Yeah.
I work for many brands that have very good products. So you're as a marketer, you're more confident. You know
Exactly.
that the marketing works for itself, right? So the
Exactly.
ROI is like 10x, 20x, where if you run it for a bad product, yeah, you just spend and then you burn your money. But very interestingly, like you said, you are the market leader, right? You are the most expensive or the highest priced in the city. Does that shape your marketing? How do you target that segment?
I think price point automatically segments us. We don't necessarily target our market segment directly. I think we more target the pain points that they face. I think that would be the most accurate way to describe that. Is that we are very clear about the challenges and potential objections that our target audience has. It's either you offer someone an aspiration of who or what they want to be or what they want their life to look like, or you provide them solutions to problems that they may have trouble overcoming on their own. I think both ways does work. Different people respond to things differently. So I think being very clear of your audience is important. I think that kind of focus and clarity, it comes back to that, right? Having that focus and clarity, that we're not trying to speak to everyone. We would love to speak to everyone. I mean, we speak to everyone, but we know that not everyone needs or perhaps is going to be receptive to what we want to say or what we want to offer. And so we can be very targeted, and we can be very specific to focus on the pain points that we know our target audience has. Yeah.
I like that because I've been targeted by your ads. So that's what I can see as well. What you said, you target the pain point. So you said, like, you've tried all these programs and then there's no results. You are the most worthy ad I've seen, right? Where I've been targeted by other players in the industry, they have like hot girls in the ad. They have like community.
That's very common,
Therefore, you have none of those. You have like personal training photos and talking to the target audience and a bit more, how to say, intellectual way of reaching out to these audiences. So maybe I'd like to ask CJ as well. When you first started, of course, this is personal training, right? It's not 100, 200 ringgit monthly gym membership. So it's quite a high ticket, right? How do you actually close this, high ticket sales? Once the marketing brings in the leads, right? How do you close these sales?
So basically, I believe that if you want to close someone, right, the value has to exceed the price point. And a lot of time, value is perceived value. It's very subjective, right? It's kind of like in that moment, value that you can provide. Not tangible, like we have better equipment and all that stuff, but letting them feel and see even how we can actually help them get to where they want to be in the next 3 months. And I would say it's really having our coaches just being real human when they talk to them in a sales conversation. Not being a salesman, just being a real, caring, empathetic person. And then also wearing the hat of a coach, not a salesperson. Because a coach guides them, a coach challenges them, a coach really puts their interests ahead of everything else. A salesperson just put their own commission targets ahead of everything else, right? And then when people come across our coaches with the consultation process, they really feel like it's actually a real coach talking to them, and they can feel like there's a future we can embark on together. And with all the testimonial reviews backing it, it's an easy sale, right? And I would say at the same time, people coming to pay for personal training is not to pay for a rep counter. It's not to come and burn 500 calories in a session. It's really they're paying for, I would say, the main three things. The first one is definitely the results. Results can be anything, not just about abs or big muscles. The results can be the fact that they can now carry their kids a lot longer, all right? They could now travel a lot frequently without having all the pains and fatigue. So the second one is experience, right? Coming in here, our studio is built in a way where you feel very inclusive, very private, and also very exclusive at the same time. Meaning, like, there's not gonna be people hanging around just looking at you doing your squat from the backside, right? It's very awkward, right? So we are exclusive in that sense, right? So this is a place for people who want to get their workout training done in a most effective and efficient way, and who values coaching. All right. So the last one is actually relationship, right? Relationship with a coach, because at the end of the day, without that, the bond or the journey can easily break, because then there's another gym offering something better, cheaper, whatever, right? So it mainly comes down to the three things, right? So result, experience, and relationship.
Wow, that's very powerful indeed. And at this point of time, you're scaling very fast. You're doubling every year. So you're looking for investors, am I right?
Always, because we are actually growing at a, basically we can say this year is a hockey stick growth. This year we are looking at 10 branches. And we've never built 10 branches even in the last 4 years. It took us 4 years to build only 6, right? So this year we're building 10, so 8 in Malaysia, 2 in Thailand.
Wow. And what would you like to say to these potential sort of investors?
Well, this is an opportunity for you to actually park your money somewhere, okay? The money that you feel like, it's going to be put to getting some ROI, return on investment yearly, and also return on impact. I think that's really meaningful because this allow a studio to be set up in a community and allowing us to reach people that otherwise would not be served by us. And we truly believe that we can really help those people. And you're actually changing lives.
Yeah, I love that return on impact, right?
Yes.
So thank you for coming to the Hub SS2, which I'm based at. And yeah, I've actually signed up for their programs as well. So what can I expect from the programs? I always tell my producer, Elton, I do a lot of podcasts. And, Elton, am I looking, my tummy, is it coming out, right? Do I have double chin or all these things? So it's very important to me. So what can I expect from this program?
Okay, so I would say the program is going to be very bespoke, meaning it's not going to kill you. So you expect the first few sessions, you're just going to walk out feeling like, hey, actually, that was pretty good, and I did not feel like I need to, crawl down the stairs, whatever, right? It's going to feel just nice, right? You're going to be challenged a little bit, but then at the same time, you're going to receive a very holistic approach, meaning like working out is just one part. It's not everything. So you have your sleep, your nutrition, your lifestyle habits, all these stuff, all need to be taken care of. And if you can improve just a few percent in each one, you will definitely see drastic, even transformation if you want, right? So at the same time, I would say it's going to actually allow you to amplify whatever pursuit you have in life. You want to be a greater podcaster, you want to be a greater, social media influencer, anything like greater entrepreneur, it will actually allow you to become more and do more. And isn't that exciting?
Yeah, that's very exciting indeed. Like, I like the point where you're not telling me some new age techniques, some secret, right? You're doing the basic things right. Sleep well, eat well, exercise well, right? So thank you, CJ, and thank you, Sam, as well, for coming on. I learned so much today, and not only we talk about fitness, which I can feel is your real passion. I'm impressed. I really love the environment here. But you are also, getting a lot of good numbers in. So it's not just passion, fitness, right? You're also growing like a hockey stick this year. So hopefully, we can see your growth this year as well. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.